friends, it's Linda. I am back with the third episode of my Defember Show and Tell. The Defember is a daily ephemera inspiration hosted by 49 Dragonflies and Luise Heinzl, and every day from the 1st through the 25th of December, we are prompted and encouraged to create a piece of ephemera. I am making all of my ephemera in black and white to put into a black and white altered book. And I showed in the first video that I made for the Defember series, I showed the actual book that I'm creating. And so all of the prompts I'm doing in black and white, which has really been a challenge, but also a lot of fun. So the first day I'm going to show you here is day 15. And for that day, the prompts were sparkle and book page. And what I created are 2 envelopes. I used the book page directly from the altered book, and a lot of the pages in the altered book are already black and white, so I just used the black and white side to kind of line this, and on the outside I covered it with gesso. It's just a simple folded envelope covered with gesso, outlined with the black soot distress ink. The page, all of the edges are torn, and then I just used some rub-ons that I have had in my stash forever and ever, and a little die-cut medallion in black. So it was so incredibly simple. The sparkle part of it, I don't know if you can really see, but along the bottom in the rub-ons, I added a bit of sparkle. So I'm not sure if that's going to show up for you there or not, but those are my 2 pieces for the 15th. And then moving on, I'll just set them right here. Try to keep them in the frame maybe, if that works. And the next day, day 16, was wings and a label. So for that day, I created this tag. It's in the shape of a house. For the wings, I used this rubber stamp from Red Lead Paperworks. It's a little angel. She says, "Fly away with me." And I put her on a die-cut frame, oval frame, to just a little bit of collaging here. And then I used a stamp. This is a rubber stamp, this label. It is also from Red Lead Paperworks, the stamp. And this little home sentiment is from Barbara's shop. So this is the piece that I created for the wings and a label. Okay. And then the next day, it was fabric and ledger paper. So I really kind of cheated, a little bit of a cheat on this one. I actually had a piece of this Kathy Holden fabric that looks like, the fabric itself looks like a ledger. So it was kind of a twofer. So I just made a ruffle from that fabric, and I just embellished it with a little bit of a black and white ledger and a vintage button. Actually, I was kind of glad that I had a little cheat that I could use on this day, because I was watching my 3 grandsons. They are 5 months, 3 years old, and 5 years old. So it was going to be a challenge to get much done anyway. So I did this at about 5 in the morning before they came over. So I was like, okay, a little bit of a cheat, not a big challenge, but it works, and I like it. So anyway, that's my fabric ruffle and my fabric slash ledger paper, sorry for reaching, ledger paper prompt. The next day was snow and a cigarette or tea card. And I have to admit, I've got so many vintage things, and I even have a vintage Etsy shop, but I have never owned my own or had my own vintage cigarette cards or tea cards, and I don't really know why. But I found these online. They are Ogden cigarette brand cigarette cards, and they were royalty free. so I was able to use them. So I just printed them and backed them on some cardstock and then put some black and white writing paper on the back. Added some snow, some splatters of snow, and then put just a little bit of a gingham tag just to add a little accent to them. So they were, again, very, very simple. I didn't use any complicated or particularly interesting techniques, but they turned out cute. Okay, so I have those. And then the next day, which was another one that was just so simple, and it was good because I had my grandchildren again that day. But the prompts were stamp and a page tab. So I took that very literally. And here, I'll show you. I made two. This one is a Tim Holtz rubber stamp that's a sewing machine. And to it, I did it back and forth. This could easily also be a altered paper clip if I glued a paper clip in the center of it, but I don't think I'll do that. It'll probably just fit on the page. And I put a little fabric embellishment and a little safety pin for a little sewing element on there. And it's the same on front and back. And I don't know if you can tell, but I just put a little bit of silver sparkle on the needle. So you can kind of see maybe the needle and the sewing machine. And then the other one I made is teensy tiny, and it's a little white butterfly that I stamped on black cardstock and added a little fabric element there and a few pearls. So the same on both sides. Very simple, nothing fancy or particularly difficult, or I didn't really use many techniques, but they turned out nice and I like them. And for this altered book, I don't really feel that I can make my ephemera very bulky. So I'm trying to keep the pieces simple and pretty flat. So that also, I have to take that into account when I make my decisions. Okay, so I have two more to show you. The next one was for day 20, and it was a frost flower and a number or sentiment. And when I hear frost flower, like one of my favorite movies of all times is The Sound of Music. And particularly one of my favorite songs from that movie is Edelweiss. And I know that in the words of the song, Edelweiss says, "Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever." And it is sounds like a lullaby. And I have been singing that song to my children and to my grandchildren. And my oldest son's 35, so it's a very dear song to me. So when I heard Snow Blossom or Snowflower, I thought of the Edelweiss, which is also serendipitous because our hostesses for this, Barbara and Louisa, are from Austria, which is the setting for the movie. So really kind of a neat thing there. So anyway, I digress. This is an image, a royalty-free image that I found online, and I just added a bit of sparkle to the flowers, some snow splatters. I printed Bloom and Grow Forever on my computer and printed it out. I sewed around the card. I used the white thread on top and the black thread underneath, and I'm still having issues of tension with my upper thread, even though I keep rethreading it, my machine. So it's a little wonky, the sewing, but I'm like okay with that for my junk journals. And then I wanted something a little, the Edelweiss flower looks to have almost a fuzzy velvety texture to it. And so I wanted some ribbon that was kind of velvety or soft and fluffy. And this is so old. This is the type of ribbon that I used to wear in my hair when I was a little girl growing up in the 60s and 70s. So it's that sweet old yarn tie. So I use that on top. So it's very nostalgic, very simple tag, but for me, it's very sweet. So the back, I haven't done anything with. I don't know if I'll put some lined paper. It'll kind of depend on where it goes in the journal. So that's my entry for day 20. And then the final one, the prompts were wax and a tea bag label. And so I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to go with that. So I just looked through my tea, looking for the black, something that had some black and white in the label. And I found a package of Earl Grey. And I actually have put a package of Earl Grey with the tea bag in it somewhere else in the journal, but here I just used the empty package and the little tag from the actual tea bag. And I glued those on. This is actually, the base here is one of Luise's digitals. I glued some writing paper on the back, but this lovely background, I did nothing to other than outline because it's already so pretty. And I just put a bit of paper here, glued the tea bag that I embellished. I put the Queen's favorite because that is true. Queen Elizabeth, her favorite tea is Earl Grey. Although I did read that it was Twinings Earl Grey, or Twinings, I don't know how that's pronounced, and all I had was Bigelow, but that's okay. So I added the Queen's favorite. I just printed that on my computer and put a little bit of that trim here. And then I made a wax to give it a royal feel for the Queen. I made a wax crown, and I just touched a little bit of silver metallic acrylic paint to the crown to bring it out, make it pop a little bit. And I put a little teacup and saucer charm and a bit of lace, a little Battenberg lace. So that is my card. It's kind of a journaling card / tag. So these are my pieces of ephemera that I created this past week. And there are just 4 days left. I'll do one more video, and then I'll make a video with the completed journal also, just so you can see kind of how I used my ephemera pieces in the journal. So that's it for today. Another thank you to Barbara and Louisa for sponsoring this wonderful program. I have had so much fun, especially watching their daily videos. I don't know what I'm going to do when those daily videos stop because they really make my day. And I have really enjoyed playing along and creating all the ephemera that I need for my journal. So anyway, I hope you are all enjoying this very busy week before Christmas. And I will be back in a few days with what I've created for the last few prompts. Thank you for watching, and thank you to my new subscribers. I hope you are enjoying this, and I sure do appreciate it. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.